Model T Fords, he could have got high voltage. He really talks about more of magnetism and steel, and you can see it in the videos, or not the videos, but in the pictures. He likes a lot of iron. And so it's all about magnetism. So when you get to magnetism, it's about amperage, it's about kinetic energy and the ground. And when it comes to the ground, it's made up of matter, and matter becomes ground. So now you have two grounds that we could do studies on. Some of the things I learned with Tesla is high voltage and radiant energy and transmission through the air, but also through the ground. So why can you transmit through both? And oscillation. So it took that part of learning to come back to Ed and now say, okay, ground. So now you have all the energy. Not only are you a great absorber from the surface down, but you also have the energy stored up in you. So basically we're all walking on this planet as one pole off the battery. Like that battery top right there, that's our planet. And that's us. And the air and the atmosphere is the energized charge. Thank God for air. Air not only allows us to breathe, but it also is a great resistance because of one major component, which is moisture. So obviously oxygen. And what these learning curves have done for me is open my eyes up to Mr. Leedskalnin. So going back to here, let's get this cranking a little bit. This is going to have a spark gap in the middle, spark gap up top. There's two capacitors here, and I'm going to do a video on making capacitors of these sorts, and I'll show what I do with them with the Tesla hairpin and what they're capable of doing. Really, really beautiful capacitors. It's salt water and oil, and there's 2 layers of glass and 2 layers of salt water. So for now, we're going to go back to what I know, and we're going to get the wheel turning by itself using car battery to turn it. Now, each one of these are north and south. So they change their poles. So north, south, and it goes around and around. Now, these capacitors, for now, they're going to be set up to where this one will have a coil going down this iron to the ground, okay? And this iron core is going to have a coil inside of it, and a core inside the coil. Like Ed talked about on magnetic current, he talked about building a strong magnet. So that's kind of where I got, okay, the PMHs are going to be double sleeved coils and pickups to make energy to go back to these capacitors to step up voltage, okay? So we're going to take the wheel turning, the power going through these coils to turn the wheel will generate radiation power. We're going to convert back, well, yes, into kinetic, and we're going to get them in the capacitors, go down the coil, build a magnetic field down the front of each pole. And every time a pole comes towards, I'm going to put a keeper on the, I'll get this tape off here. I'm going to put this wide steel bar, or not steel, iron, so it's a keeper. So it'll come out, it'll build a reveal up the same distance, you know, about like my finger out. So I have a good reveal there. So basically, it'll go to that point. Because remember we talked about the points over there? So I'm going to transfer that over here, and that'll have its same directional point. So the coils inside these two iron, or not iron, yeah, soft iron steel bars are going to be wound the opposite way, so the polarities will be different, and they are going to rotate and oscillate back and forth. So there's your oscillation based off of my I'll say timer, but pretty much my reed switch that's firing one side of the ladder. One side of the ladder, the positive, is going to be all hooked up. On the negative side of the ladder, we're going to have the break in the relay, and we'll get into relays, different relays, what they're good for, how to build them. I got these relays, I got those, I got these little guys you can buy at Radio Shack. They're cheap, they only handle 12 volts. These are 24 volts they'll use to kick them on and off. What else do I need to cover? So yeah, we'll get into getting the wheel turning. First, we'll start off with the PMHs, and we'll get into putting back coils on them and pulling power off. We'll put the power into these two. We'll rotate those two as like pretty much you got back and forth 90-degree turn of flipping and flopping. And you do have our goal is to get a magnetic pull force. Put a keeper on here on both sides, and they're rotating, so they'll pull the wheel. I did notice last time I had the wheel running that moving the relay or the reed switch away from the wheel slowed the wheel down. Also moving it left to right to kind of like a car timer when you're timing a car on the harmonic balance. And the on the harmonic balance and the flywheel, you're moving the distributor, so you're gonna time it. So there's ways here of control. So I already know that I can control the speed. But then once you get to the speed, we're gonna jump into doing experiments on the interior. How do we get the spark gap? What do we do with it? What are we transmitting? What type? We'll get the oscilloscope out. We'll see what we're dealing with. You're gonna have alternating current, you're going to have DC. One thing great I learned when I was into the Tesla stuff, when you send AC, this would be AC coming out of here into the capacitor, it comes out of the other side of the capacitor is DC, not AC. So we'll be able to control maybe our pulse rate by spreading out or fine-tuning the spark gap here that's on these capacitors. Want to say shout out to everybody, all my YouTubers, the people who just found my channel, and to the people who've been part of my family, 2,000 subscribers. For the Vinny St. Vincent, come on over to Leedskalnin. If you get bored, you want to check out some Tesla stuff, check out Nikola Tesla YouTube channel. You'll see a lot of videos start to pop up. I got a lot of 8 months of research, a lot of do's and don'ts, and we can work on building coils on that part. And Vinny St. Vincent is going to become the multi. It'll have a little Ed, it'll have a little Tesla, it'll have the one thing I've been into from when I received this book back in '88. I got also another book, and it was Wilhelm Reich and Orgone Energy. And I'll tell you, that was the main attraction that brought me to Leedskalnin, because it's all about organic, inorganic material, and also about earth and your part that you're made of, the minerals. So that was the exciting part. And then I don't want to leave out my good friend, water. Water is everything. I have so much experience now with water, on charges, on alkaline, acidic, rainwater. Guess what? I'm going to put a question out there to you guys. Does rainwater have a positive charge or a negative charge? And I can prove this by doing a little experiment on video, which charge it is. And I want you guys out there to tell me what charge do you think it is, and not only what charge do you think it is, but why it's that charge. There's a reason why it's that charge, and what happens to that water when it gets processed. how does it change its charge, and what does it do when it changes its charge. So you guys, there's a great question for you on water, but water, you got so many things with water and magnetism. The funniest thing is when you start taking a strong magnet field and you drop water through it, you'll see the water shift to the side, away from a certain charge. And you'll see it attract to the charge too. There's a lot of makeup with water that it being neutral can be swayed to be either side. And we'll get into that too, because I've done that. And I've distilled water, and I make great distilled high alkaline water, which we'll get into at some point. Questions on your cells through your body and the 70% water in your body on alkaline, acidic. 80% of your food you take in is acidic, 20% is alkaline. Your alkaline is only fruits and vegetables. So, water. And how do you balance out those numbers? Think about that. The key thing that I found out though in my research, and this is truly from my heart, is at the age of 28 to 31, your metabolism changes on everybody. And that's why people work out and run to build up the metabolism. That will keep your pancreas performing and making secretions of alkalinity. So when your metabolism slows down, it stops making the secretions of alkalinity. So basically you're more in charge, and that's where aging really kicks in. And that's what I've noticed on my research. And I like to share it with you guys more in detail. You guys have any questions on it, I'll feel free to answer, or I'll do a video on it. Has a lot to do with your body. When everybody has cancer cells, when you get, or not, do you have cancer, when you get cancer, the cells turn dark, and there's videos out there I can post up, and you can see a dead cell, a bunch around good cells, and it's dark. And when you put alkalinity fluids around that cell will turn white and flip its charge. And I think that's what's really going on. I never heard anybody in the scientific community talk about it, but it's really a reversal of charge in your cell that's in your body. So your white cells and your red cells, you know, possibly have two different charges. I don't even know. I know what the white cell does, has a nucleus on it, and so a center charge in the middle and a negative on the outside. So if you screw your body up, your body, by the way, for those who don't know, is electrical machine. 70% water. We live in a brain, which is our earth, and we have a brain. So, if you guys are interested, feel free to leave comments. Thank you for watching Ed Leedskalnin's workshop. This is coming from my heart. This is a project that I adore. I so am proud that this is part of my life. Thank you for watching.